All right, we are going to be looking at different rules of exponents and just kind of reminding you of what those rules are. So just kind of a quick little side note here. Um, if I want you to take just something like x squared times x squared, just so you know, x squared means x times x, and x squared also means x times x. So when I multiply that together, I have x to the fourth. Shortcut would be to add those two numbers, okay? I would have x to the fourth that way, okay? And basically what that means is, this is my little reminder to you, when you see two x's or two bases, you add the exponents, okay? So in other words, I have an x here and I have an x here, which means I add them. Different than if I asked you to do x squared to the third power. Now do you see how you only have one base? If that's what you do, then x squared to the third power really means x squared times x squared times x squared, which then is x, 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 and that becomes x to the sixth, okay? Shortcut would be to take those two exponents and multiply them. Okay, so when you're raising something to a power, you multiply them. When you're just multiplying two things, then you add the exponents. So on this particular problem, what you want to do first is you want to multiply the coefficients, or the numbers that are out in front. So 3 times negative 4 would be negative 12. And then I'm multiplying x cubed times x squared. They each have a base, so I'm going to add those exponents and make that be x to the fifth. And then y squared and y to the fourth. Again, they each have a base of y, so I will add those exponents and get y to the sixth. Okay, so that's that one simplified. Different than this, like we talked about, where you only see one base. This number out here doesn't have a base with it, and so that tells you it's being raised to a power, and then you multiply the exponents. So I just want you to be really careful here when you have numbers that are in, you have coefficients here, because lots of people forget to do that. So right now this is negative 2 to the 1. What that means is I'm going to take 1 times 5 and do negative 2 to the fifth power. And when you have a negative number and you're going to raise it to a power, it has to be in parentheses or it might not come out right on your calculator, just so you know, okay? And then I will take p to the 3 times 5, which is 15, and s to the 2 times 5, which is 10, okay? So then negative 2 to the fifth power, if you put that into your calculator, you can do that. In fact, I can probably show you how to put that into your calculator, just in case you don't know. You obviously can do negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 5 times if you want, but that takes a while, and then you have a hard time keeping track of what you've pressed and what you haven't pressed. So let me just show you how to put this onto your calculator if you don't know that. You will put the negative 2 in parentheses. So here's the parentheses, negative 2. And then this little caret key that's right below the clear button is your exponent key, and then to the fifth power. And you can see that I would get negative 32 here. Okay. Why is it not letting me close this? There we go. So negative 32, p to the 15th, s to the 10th. All right, this is pretty darn similar, only now we have one little rule that we have to deal with because we have negative exponents, but we'll start out the same. So this really means 3 squared and x to the negative 6th. 3 squared we know is 9, x to the negative 6th. And then I don't know if you remember about negative exponents, but if they're a negative exponent, they need to, if they're in the numerator, they need to go to the denominator and then become positive. Or if they're negative when they're in the denominator, then they need to go to the numerator and become positive. So this really becomes 9 times 1 over x to the 6th, which we can rewrite as 9 over x to the 6th. Okay. And then lastly, here again, I have two bases. They each have a base of x, so it's not like it's being raised to the power. Different than if I saw it like that, okay? That would be different. But here they both have a base, so I want to add the exponents, and so this becomes x to the negative 7th. And again, you won't be able to leave negative exponents in your problem, and so you are going to have to rewrite that as 1 over x to the 7th. If anybody happened to have me for regular algebra, I talked about how if you're upstairs and you have a negative attitude, your mom might kick you to the basement so that you can become, cool off and become nice and gain a positive attitude again. And so that's what's happening here. Okay, and the last one here for this little quick part, again, you will multiply the coefficients. So 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. My x's each have a base on them, so I will go ahead and add those. Negative 2 plus negative 4 gives me negative 6. Lots of people will make the mistake of moving this 10 to the basement because they see a negative sign there, but it is not a negative exponent. It's only negative exponents that need to go down, not negative numbers. And so this needs to go to the basement, but my negative 10 is going to stay up top. My x has to go x to the 6th power. Right now it's negative 6, so it has to go to the basement, get an attitude adjustment, and become positive. So that's how that would all work out.